The Colorado Trail had always beckoned me. Its rugged beauty and untamed wilderness called out to my spirit, promising adventure and a chance to reconnect with nature. Every time I thought about it, I felt a pull, a magnetic force drawing me towards those majestic peaks and whispering pines. A siren song of rugged peaks and whispering pines. The mountains seemed to sing a melody that resonated deep within my soul, a tune that spoke of freedom, challenge, and the raw beauty of the natural world. It was a song I couldn't ignore, a call I had to answer. I yearned to lose myself in its vastness, to find myself in its solitude. The idea of being alone in such an expansive, untouched landscape was both thrilling and daunting. I imagined the quiet moments of reflection, the sense of insignificance in the face of such grandeur, and the profound peace that comes from being truly alone with nature. So I set off alone, armed with my backpack, my boots, and a heart full of anticipation. I knew the risks. The wilderness is unpredictable, and the mountains can be unforgiving. But I was prepared, or so I thought. I had packed carefully, ensuring I had everything I might need for the journey ahead. My heart raced with excitement and a touch of fear as I took my first steps on the trail. I had heard the stories, tales of hikers who had faced unexpected challenges, of those who had been tested by the elements and emerged stronger for it. Around campfires, I had listened to seasoned adventurers recount their experiences, each story adding to the allure of the mountains. I wanted to be one of them, to have my own stories to tell. But the mountains held an irresistible allure. Their beauty was captivating, their presence commanding. Standing at the base of those towering peaks, I felt a sense of awe and reverence. The mountains seemed to whisper secrets of the earth, stories of ancient times and timeless beauty. I was drawn to them, compelled to explore their mysteries. A challenge I felt compelled to answer. The trail ahead was steep and rocky, a test of endurance and determination. Each step was a reminder of my purpose, a push to keep going despite the obstacles. I felt a surge of determination, a drive to conquer the challenges and prove something to myself, a chance to prove something to myself. Reaching the summit was more than just a physical achievement. It was a testament to my resilience and perseverance. Standing at the peak, looking out over the vast landscape, I felt a sense of accomplishment and pride. It was a moment of triumph, a reward for the hard work and determination. As I hiked deeper into the wilderness, a sense of peace settled over me. The hustle and bustle of everyday life seemed a distant memory, replaced by the serene beauty of the natural world. The forest was alive with the sounds of wildlife, the rustling of leaves, and the gentle whisper of the wind. It was a symphony of nature, a soothing balm for the soul. The worries of everyday life faded away, replaced by the rhythm of my footsteps and the symphony of the wild. Each step was a meditation, a moment of mindfulness. The trail became my sanctuary, a place where I could escape the pressures of the modern world and reconnect with the simplicity of nature. The sounds of the forest, the crunch of leaves underfoot, and the distant calls of birds created a harmonious backdrop to my journey. Little did I know that this tranquility was about to be shattered. The weather in the mountains can change in an instant, and as dark storm clouds gathered on the horizon, I felt a sense of foreboding. The air grew heavy, and the once gentle breeze turned into a fierce wind. I knew I had to find shelter, but the trail ahead was uncertain. The mountains, with all their beauty and allure, were about to test me in ways I hadn't anticipated. My pack felt heavier with each passing mile. Each step seemed to add another pound to the already burdensome load. The straps dug into my shoulders and my back ached from the weight. But this was the price of adventure, and I was willing to pay it. The sun beat down relentlessly. Its rays were unyielding, casting a harsh light on the rocky path ahead. Sweat trickled down my forehead, stinging my eyes and making it hard to see. The heat was oppressive, but it was also a reminder of the raw, untamed beauty of the wilderness. But I pushed on, fueled by adrenaline and a strange sense of exhilaration. There was something intoxicating about the challenge, something that made every hardship worth enduring. My heart pounded in my chest, not just from the exertion, but from the thrill of the unknown. The trail was challenging, but I was determined to conquer it. Each obstacle was a test of my resolve, a chance to prove to myself that I could overcome anything. The rocks were slippery, the path narrow and treacherous, but I moved forward with a single-minded focus. As I climbed higher, the air grew thin and crisp. Breathing became more difficult, each inhale a conscious effort. But with the thinning air came a clarity, a sharpness to the world around me. The views were breathtaking, each vista more stunning than the last. Panoramas of jagged peaks and verdant valleys unfolded before me. The landscape was a tapestry of colors and textures, a masterpiece painted by nature itself. The mountains stood tall and proud, their peaks piercing the sky, while the valleys below were lush and green, teeming with life. I felt small yet strangely insignificant. Standing on that peak, I was just a tiny dot in an immense landscape. It was a humbling experience, a reminder of how vast and powerful the natural world truly is. A tiny speck in the grand scheme of nature's masterpiece. The mountains, the valleys, the forests, they all existed long before me and would continue to exist long after I was gone. It was a sobering thought, but also a comforting one. In the grand tapestry of life, we are all just small threads, each playing our part. Fear, however, was a constant companion. It was always there, lurking in the back of my mind. The fear of getting lost, of encountering wild animals, of the unknown dangers that lay ahead. It was a primal fear, one that kept me on edge, but also kept me alert and aware. It lurked in the shadows of the towering pines. The forest was a place of both beauty and danger, a place where light and dark coexisted in a delicate balance. The tall trees cast long shadows, creating an eerie, almost otherworldly atmosphere. It whispered in the rustling leaves. The wind carried with it the sounds of the forest, the rustling of leaves, the creaking of branches, the distant calls of birds. Each sound was a reminder of the life that thrived in this wild place, but also of the dangers that lurked just out of sight. I was alone, miles from civilization, completely at the mercy of the elements. There was no one to rely on but myself, no safety net to catch me if I fell. It was a daunting realization, but also an empowering one. In that moment, I felt truly alive, connected to the world in a way that I had never felt before. The exhilaration and fear were two sides of the same coin, each enhancing the other, creating an experience that was both terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. The storm hit with a vengeance. One moment the sky was clear, the next it was a swirling mass of gray. Wind howled through the trees, whipping the snow into a blinding frenzy. I was unprepared for its ferocity. Panic surged through me. I scrambled for shelter, but there was none to be found. The snow piled up quickly, burying the trail behind me. The temperature plummeted, and the wind seemed to cut right through my layers. I knew I was in trouble. Hypothermia. I had heard the warnings. But nothing could have prepared me for the bone-chilling cold that was now seeping into my very core. Section 4. Slipping away, the cold seeps in. The cold was relentless. It was as if the very essence of winter had decided to take hold of my body and soul, refusing to let go. The wind howled through the mountains, carrying with it a chill that seemed to pierce through every layer of clothing, reaching deep into my bones. It numbed my fingers and toes, then crept inwards, slowly shutting down my body. Each breath I took felt like inhaling shards of ice, and my lungs burned with the effort. My fingers, once nimble and quick, were now stiff and unresponsive, as if they belonged to someone else. The cold was a thief, stealing away my ability to move, to think, to survive. My movements became sluggish, my thoughts disjointed. It was as if my mind was wrapped in a thick fog, making it difficult to focus on anything other than the overwhelming cold. Each step I took was a monumental effort, my legs feeling like lead weights dragging me down. The snow was deep, and with every step, I sank further into its icy grip. I stumbled and fell, the snow a soft, unforgiving bed. Fear turned to despair. The ground seemed to rise up to meet me, and I collapsed into the snow, my body too exhausted to continue. The cold was no longer just an external force. It had become a part of me, seeping into my very core. I could feel my strength waning, my will to fight slipping away. I was going to die out here, alone and forgotten. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut, and a wave of panic surged through me. I was miles away from civilization with no hope of rescue. The snowstorm had erased any trace of my path, leaving me lost in a white, featureless landscape. The isolation was suffocating, and the thought of dying alone in this frozen wasteland was almost too much to bear. Images of my loved ones flashed through my mind. I saw their faces, smiling and full of life, and it brought a pang of sorrow to my heart. I thought of my family, my friends, the people who meant the world to me. They were my anchor, my reason for living, and the thought of never seeing them again was unbearable. I remembered the warmth of their embraces, the sound of their laughter, and it felt like a cruel contrast to the cold, silent world I was now trapped in. The thought of them never knowing my fate was unbearable. I imagined them waiting for me, hoping for my return, not knowing that I was lying here, slowly succumbing to the cold. The pain of leaving them behind, of causing them such grief, was almost worse than the physical agony I was enduring. I wanted to scream, to call out to them, but my voice was lost in the howling wind. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the inevitable. The fight had left me, and all I could do was lie there, waiting for the end. The cold was no longer an enemy to be battled, but a companion, lulling me into a strange, peaceful state. My body felt heavy, and my mind began to drift, the edges of my consciousness blurring. The cold was no longer pain, but a strange numbness that spread through me like a wave. It was as if my body was shutting down, one part at a time, and I could feel myself slipping away. The numbness was almost comforting, a release from the relentless pain and struggle. I felt a sense of detachment, as if I was watching myself from a distance, and the world around me began to fade. This is it, I thought. This is the end. There was a strange sense of acceptance, a calm that settled over me as I lay there in the snow. The cold had won, and I was ready to let go. My thoughts turned to my loved ones one last time, and I hoped that they would find peace, even if I could not. As the darkness closed in, I felt a final fleeting sense of peace, and then nothing. Section 5. The Warmth of Hope, A Voice in the Storm. Just when I felt myself slipping away, a strange thing happened. A warmth enveloped me, not a physical warmth, but something deeper, more profound. A sense of peace washed over me, chasing away the fear and despair. Then I heard it, a voice, soft and calming, yet clear as a bell. "You are not alone," it whispered. "I am here." I opened my eyes, but I saw no one. Yet I felt a presence beside me, a guardian angel